Avengers! Assemble.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley. As always, joining me for this program is the Apex legend, Jack Martin.
Christian, excellent to be back. Excelsior. It has been a couple weeks and excited to get back to it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that until I sat down because I asked you right before we started recording. I was like, we didn't talk about the end of Ms. Marvel, did we? So everybody look forward to that later in the show. Apologies out the way. I haven't seen Love and Thunder yet. So Jack, you saw it. You want to give a brief little how you been, check in, Love and Thunder, pulse check? I don't know.
Sure. I won't. We'll talk about it more once we've both seen it.
Sure.
But I will say, I have been sitting on my thoughts for a while, and they're the exact same as what I thought when I immediately saw it. I straight up do not like this movie. Don't like it. I don't think it's the worst Thor movie, but I'll say I like the first Thor movie better.
That makes me so happy to hear. I love that film. Thor 1, and listen, I've seen some people out here being like, oh, everybody loves Thor 1 now. I've been a ride or die for that movie since 2011, baby. Thor 1, ooh, Kenneth Branagh, bring him back. I like Taika. Don't actually bring him back, but like, oh man, there was some sauce in Thor 2011, Jack. There was some sauce in that movie.
No, it's great, and I think there is something to say about like having that sort of old school, sort of like Norse silliness to it. Maybe not silliness, but like it did take itself kind of seriously. But there was some campiness to it that I think we're missing now. But I will say, like, so many people have said this, but the new Thor movie, Love and Thunder, is just like brimming with comedy that personally I don't find funny. Like really any of it, honestly, I didn't think was funny. Like maybe a few chuckles here and there, but it's an exhausting movie that is full of jokes to me that are not funny. So I didn't enjoy it. It's pretty low on my MCU list, but we'll get more into that at a later date.
For sure. Well, outside of that, how have you been? Any fun developments? Anything you've been up to you want to share with the class before we get into this pre-Comic-Con episode of Excelsior?
Sure. I got a Kindle recently, and the only reason that is exciting for this program is because I'm planning on reading a lot of comics on it. Probably a lot of Marvel comics. And it's just really great. I got it for like Prime Day, and it was like $45. And I think I got the one that you have or something similar to it.
Yeah.
So just a very cheap and easy way to read some digital comics without piling up some physical collections. And I really enjoy getting physical books, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, I'm kind of running out of space for this. And it's just easier and just a lot cheaper to read things digitally these days.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited. We already have a couple discussions planned about a certain web slinger comic arc that we'll be getting to in the coming weeks, which I'm excited to because I, like you, have the Kindle Fire for the like express purpose of reading comics, and I have not touched it since I had the Marvel Unlimited trial. For like the first night, I read a bunch of Daredevil. And then I forgot that I had it, and then they charged me after 3 months, and I was like, oh, right. So, yeah, Kindle, this is not an Amazon-sponsored show. Bezos, I know you got some money to throw around. I'll say good things about Comixology, because that's how I read comics. So,
yeah. You can, and I did do this, like, get Marvel Unlimited on the Kindle. You have to, like, go download the Google Play Store. It's kind of annoying, but I did it, and there's some like quick and easy videos. So if you want to do that, you can also send like PDF files and like any sort of file directly to your Kindle, and it'll just show up in your Kindle library, which is what I've been doing for like books and like a select few comics as well, which is just awesome. You can like if you have access to free books and like comics around the internet, you can just throw those on your Kindle, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's some interesting, borderline amazing things in the world of Marvel this week. So why don't we kick off with Fury's report for this year Avengers game from today as of recording, July 21st through July 28th. hero card activations and nameplates are both 50% off. So I think, what would that be? 500 credits for a hero card?
Yes. That for a card?
Yeah, opposed to
Oh, yes.
like the battle pass
Right.
per hero.
Yes, that is usually 1,000, so it would be 500.
Yeah, so there's a couple I haven't bought at this point, I think. I definitely don't have Jane's.
No, I don't either.
I have Spidey's, but I don't recall if I ever bought. Who else is in this game? I don't know.
Any of the Hawkeyes?
Maybe I didn't buy one of the Hawkeyes. I forget.
Black Panther?
Black Panther, I think I got. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. But
Dude, I haven't even played as Jane. So that's
a good
the state
point.
of my with this game.
I don't know if we've had an episode since then, but I did get a PS5 and I played a little bit of Avengers on it. And
Yeah, how's that been?
speedy. Still not
Yes, dude.
instant, right? Like I've seen some loading screens still in Avengers, but like nothing to the effect of like seeing that 4-minute MP4 loop of all those characters. Actually, now that I say that, I don't think I've seen that at all. So maybe the
No.
loading screens are just like the helicarrier or the.
I don't
Quinjet.
think you see that unless you play multiplayer.
Okay.
Because I don't remember seeing that in probably up to a year at this point.
Yeah. Now that you say that, let me be fair to the game. Loading times are significantly better. I still have to load into missions because I guess of course, but yeah, looks nice, runs nice. So if Jack, you wanted to get in there, experiment, play Mighty Thor, and you're looking for literally anything to direct you towards doing something, from now until August 4th, the Cosmic Threat event has returned. Quoted directly from this week's War Table blog. I believe this is War Table blog 99. We'll see if they have something in store next week. Take on Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss Dr. Monica Rappaccini as she supremes some science with the power of the Cosmic Cube.
Ugh.
Jack, are you Gaslight Gatekeeper Girl Boss?
I'm girl boss, I'll say.
Okay, I respect it.
What about you?
I always get told by Kayla jokingly, I'm Gaslight, but I don't believe that.
Sure.
She's wrong.
I understand.
She doesn't know what she's talking about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Full circle. They had a little too much fun with this write-up, I'll say.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm kind of glad they had some fun with it, you know?
Sure. Well, I mean, what else is going on?
Yeah, you gotta lean into those TikTok trends, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, Cosmic Threat event, probably the best one in the game. Will I be going back into this? No. But it's great that it's here. Also, are these events just not always... Like, is the Cosmic Threat event just not always available? I feel like I can just jump in and fight Monica at any point.
So you can, it's just like hey, collect this resource in the
Gotcha.
overworld, and you'll be progressing these themed events.
Okay.
Like when I played some Jane recently, it was, I think, still the Ruskaya protocols. So like Red Room was back and I ran through, I got some, whatever the Ruskaya chips drop rate thing was from AIM Synthoids. So that's in the game right now.
Yep.
And if listeners, you may be wanting to convince your friends to play this game. If you have listened to this show and you're a remnant from Excelsior 1.0 and you didn't listen for specifically the Avengers game phase of this show, and you've never played the game before, Jack, what can they do now?
If you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, the specifically extra or premium, but at the base extra, you now have access to Marvel's Avengers, free of charge outside of that subscription. So this game is essentially free everywhere, on like the two major consoles at least, and which is great. But I'm curious, like, are the devs only making money from skins now? because like sales for this game have to be like at an all-time low with now this on PS Plus and on Game Pass.
You would imagine, right? I think once they kicked off doing the MCU skins, and then we like exponentially saw the rapid release of other MCU skins, and just browsing the subreddit and seeing a lot of people saying like, "Oh yeah, I buy like everything." Yes. Considering each skin is what, $14 for the MCU skins if you
Yeah.
like drop actual cash on them. Yeah, I would say yes.
Well, good for them because they make some good MCU skins, and we'll talk about a pretty good one coming up soon.
For sure. Do you think that, as you stated, the fact that both platform holders with their subscriptions have this game as a free to play title now, do you think that in this sort of nebulous in between period of time right now, where we see Embracer Group embracing um, Crystal Dynamics, that maybe once the acquisition goes through and they have a better idea of what the future of this game and their studio structure will be, we could maybe see them just fully embrace free to play? Because, again, Destiny 2 at one point was a PlayStation Plus free game, and then once Bungie got full autonomy over themselves, they just went free to play. So, do you think that this is sort of a transitional thing? Are we still in a lull, and it's like, hey, we can cut a deal, we can get some cash going in here, and then eventually, maybe when we're ready to reestablish, full free to play? Because this is something you and I have discussed as an option for this game for a very long time now.
Yeah, it's this. I mean, we're at the point where this is the closest thing to free to play, where this is essentially free on both of the major console platforms. So it's definitely a step in that direction. I wonder what that would look like. They would have to start charging for like expansions and things like that. But saying the word expansion with this game right now does not feel right because, I mean, maybe there's one on the way. Who knows? We don't know anything that's on the way at the moment. So I don't even really know. I guess you're right with the point of we're in this weird position where we're unclear about the future, and it is probably has to do with the acquisition from Embracer. But yeah, it's hard to really even speculate what that's such a big thing, like changing this game to free to play, and it's hard to even really think about that at this moment.
For sure. But for the meantime, what we can think about is conjecture of what the next MCU skin will be, because sometimes, Jack, they might surprise you with what they throw out here for a skin in this game. Let's hear about this new one in the marketplace this week.
Yes, this one is very cool. This is the Marvel's Avengers Endgame (parentheses snap) end parentheses outfit for Iron Man. This is him, like, at the moment he's snapping with the gauntlet on. Looks really cool. His suit is all torn up. He has the, like, Iron Man gauntlet on, and it looks pretty sweet. I was really surprised with this one. They already released the Endgame Iron Man suit, and this is obviously from that, but this is like a deviation of that suit with the gauntlet, and of course his face is exposed. This is really cool. I did not expect to see anything like this in the game.
Yeah, I think it's neat. Again, it makes me wish that the Endgame Thor was Viking Thor, but it's cool. It's very surprising. It would be very fun if this was just like God mode, right? Since you have the Infinity Gauntlet, that'd be very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, just great to see them sort of embrace something that's a bit surprising. And when it comes to adapting the MCU skins, right? Like, we don't really have a bunch of weird MCU skins almost. Like, I feel like this would be on the level of, hey, here's the propaganda Captain America skin that looks like it's made out of felt from the US Open tour that he did, like, pre getting deployed.
True, yeah.
Which also I would buy. I would be in for that. But
Oh, that'd be really cool.
yeah. Nice to see, though. Cool, surprising MCU edition.
Yeah, I like when they do weird stuff like this. I guess this is like maybe not weird, but this is the most surprising one since the Wolfman Captain
Sure.
America costume. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, remember when we thought that was going to become a trend and we were going to get Halloween costumes for everybody?
Maybe this year.
Maybe. What else is in the marketplace, though, right now is a free nameplate celebrating Thor, Love and Thunder. I looked at it briefly in the War Table blog. I think it's like a Hercules or a Zeus thing, so for fans of the Greek pantheon, there you go.
Real quick, back to the Thor: Love and Thunder brief discussion. Are you like excited to see this movie? I know you were busy like on the release like weekend, but is this something that you're actively looking forward to, or are you just kind of like, I don't know?
I love Thor in the MCU. I'm excited to see the Guardians because I feel like they haven't really been able to do anything for a long time. And I know they're only in the movie for like 5 minutes, but still. Outside of that, I feel no real rush. For the sake of discussion, I will do everything in my power to see it by next time we record, but I'm not like losing sleep over this right now.
Right. Yeah. I'm really interested to see what you think about this because I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah,
It's a very hit or miss movie.
That's what I'm interested about because like I really love Ragnarok. I don't love it as much as a lot of people do. Again, it's my girlfriend Kayla. It's her favorite MCU movie, Ragnarok, and she saw this already. I was like, "What did you think?" And she was like, "I really liked it, but it was bad." I was like, "Okay." So I kind of put a little bit of a damper on it too. So
yeah, I'm interested because some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
And there's kind of no in between.
Yeah, I'll ride that fence.
Right.
Well, we got a brief shout out for an update. Patch 2.5.1 is out again. Fixes some bugs, does some rebalancing for some Jane things that people have noticed over the past couple weeks. So if you're up top on playing that game, you might have to download a patch. I think I saw this pop up when I was playing something else the other day. I was like, oh, it updated? Okay.
Yeah, I did it. I was playing Stray last night, and I believe the game updated.
Yeah. How you liking that?
I love it, dude.
Nice.
Playing it with my cat. She was all about it. Literally up against the TV. I feel like that's the point of that game, is to play it with your cat and to have them react. I've seen so many videos of people doing that, and every cat is like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It's cute. I've seen a lot of these videos, too. You sent me one. It was very nice.
Yeah, it's one of those games, like, the best way to like go in with expectations is to just know that it's a really easy game, but it's incredibly charming. And I'm loving it for it. Like, I love the ability to have a game to just go in and not really think too much about it, and this is definitely fills that sort of perspective.
Yeah. I definitely get that. We are fans of Avengers after all.
Exactly.
Speaking of Avengers, though, there are some leaks that are coming out of the notable leaker for the community, Miller. Two things. We're already talking about skins, so let's start with this one. I did my best to try and remember when we had this conversation, but as we said, with War Table Blog 100 coming up, we've almost had probably 100 episodes of this show, right? So I don't know when this was said, but I think the context of this prediction was that the game would be in massive trouble when they finally had to do this. And oh boy, the swimsuit skin line has leaked.
Yes, it has. Who's in this again? There's like 3 at least.
Yeah, so I saw 3. I saw Thor, I saw Iron Man, and I saw Black Widow.
Right.
Black Widow and Thor, of course, looking sexy. Iron Man's out here with like a weird, like floaty thing. I don't know.
Right.
It's very strange. It looks like he's wearing plastic.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be goofy. But what was the context of you saying this? Weren't you saying like? I think you remember what you were.
Yeah. So I think it was like maybe this was before we started getting like completely blasted with MCU skins, but it was like, oh, if they really need to make some money, if they're really struggling to keep this game up, this was probably after like all the Square financial talk. I was like, if they're really desperate, they just got to put some waifus and some swimwear sets in this game because the horny people will not stop and they will buy everything. So
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it.
yeah, I did.
They did it. They're doing it. I wonder when this comes out. This seems like it's probably imminent because it's the summer after all.
You would think so, right?
This would be so funny if they dropped this in like October.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know how they spin that. Or like the winter. Like, oh, we got like beach on the brain. I don't know.
yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah, you're right. The timer, like, even if they drop this in September, even it's gonna be a little like, all right, I guess. I'm not going to the
Yeah, I'm like
beach in
getting my
September.
flannels out of the closet. What are you doing?
Yeah, yeah, damn. I hope they get it out before the fall because that'd be very funny if it's like Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Here's Black Widow in a two piece. Like,
I mean, I could just so see that though.
yeah. You know what I'd like to see though?
What's that?
Bucky Barnes. How's he gonna play,
Yes.
Jack?
Um, that's a great question. I feel like I want him to have a gun, but I don't think he will. Like in Endgame or in Infinity War rather. I mean, if he did, that'd be pretty sweet. But
That's
I think
yeah.
he's probably gonna play like Black Panther or like Cap.
I really, really hope he is a unique character, right? Because for those that haven't seen it, Miller did say that the next hero coming to the game is Bucky Barnes. It's not She-Hulk. So when I think about Bucky in this game, I do think of him with that big like DMR from Infinity War, right? Like I
Hmm.
want him to be a gun ranged character because yes, we have the archers, but I think the game being able to have a fully like rapid fire range character would be unique enough that you could strategize differently and it would feel like you have a noticeable change to team comp in this game. That being said, like you're saying, I could very easily see him just play like Cap or Black Widow with maybe a AK instead of her weird like Uzis. So
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I ideally it would be for me a combo of like Iron Man, who's great ranged, and like you were saying, he does have that weapon, and combining it with the metal arm that he has. Like that seems like a really good combination of if you want to go melee, you have that option, but he also has this sweet weapon that you could use. With like different like modes or whatever that you want to do, there's always like that, like what you said, Black Widow has like the Uzi or like the Magnum or whatever, and Iron Man has the laser, the Unibeam, or whatever it's called, and the missiles. So I think that could lend itself to be a pretty interesting lineup for the character.
So do you think that Bucky would be sort of like this hero event style package? Would he be coming alongside a minor expansion like an operation, or would I doubt this would be a big like Wakanda, not Wakanda Forever, War for Wakanda
Yeah.
style thing?
No, I think it's probably like Jane and just kind of drops. I mean, that's the momentum we've had so far in the past two character drops, so that's sort of what I'm expecting. Can we just talk a little about how weird this is? Like this seems so out of the blue. I know we've talked about like Bucky and also like War Machine in the past, but those just seemed like, oh yeah, we have them if we want them. Like, I'm curious why She-Hulk isn't next, considering the She-Hulk show is like imminent.
My guess would be they knew they wouldn't be able to have She-Hulk ready for the show to launch, so don't even worry about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't remember. I feel like we were talking about Bucky within year one of like Miller saying like, "Oh yeah, there's assets, there's things that I've seen." Same with War Machine. So like, I wonder if Bucky just got put on ice and it's like, okay, we can either do a lot more work on She-Hulk to get her fully ready to be her own realized character and miss the mark of when the show is releasing, or we can take Bucky out of cryo, finish him off, and maybe have him ready for like
Literally,
October or something, you know?
literally take him out of cryo.
Yeah.
That probably makes sense. It seems obviously they're not like doing a one-to-one like, oh, we're gonna make these characters and drop them around the MCU, but it does, like, we don't know the readiness of She-Hulk, so it's hard to really even speculate. It would have been really nice for them, and I'm sure they're probably thinking the same thing. Would have been really nice to line that up with the show. We've just seen like the recent leak on the Xbox stream, as well as the actress herself just basically confirming that she's She-Hulk. So that seemed like an imminent announcement, but we just haven't had that confirmation yet.
Do you think Bucky will release this calendar year?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think he's probably a September, October drop.
That would be ideal, I think, right? And I don't think there's any other major things they could like synergize with, unless maybe there's some announcement about Captain America 4 later this year at like a Disney Plus day or something. I don't know. But yeah, interesting stuff. I do hope he truly does feel unique, right? Because just for behind the scenes stuff, I ended up deleting Avengers off my PS5 sometime last week because I was like, I need storage.
And it's 100 gigs.
Yeah, it is a large install.
That's offensive.
Yeah. And I think it's smaller on PS4, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, I deleted it, and then within 24 hours, Miller tweets out Bucky Barnes is next, and I got excited. I was like, oof. Installing this bad boy again. So it's back on my hard drive. So
Nice.
yeah, I'd be super down for him, especially if he is unique. Because I'd love to level a new character in this game that feels exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I would hope for a more ranged focused, but
Yeah.
like also melee if possible. Like Iron Man's kind of like that. Obviously, the focus is on ranged, but you can play him as melee if you want. Same with Black Widow in a way, but she's more melee focused. It would be nice if they struck a balance between the two.
So we will have to wait and see. But meanwhile, Jack, as of right now, when this episode is releasing, maybe we'll drop this one on Friday just to get ahead of this so it's not super out of date. San Diego Comic-Con begins today as of recording, with the Marvel panel is happening Saturday, July 23rd. I forget what time, but I don't know if they're live streaming this one.
Probably not. They usually like keep that under wraps, don't they? And it like kind of leaks out.
Yeah, I know there's usually like recordings that go up after the fact, because I remember in high school I used to like watch just like YouTube channels recording like good recordings on a tripod of the event to see the announcements as they went. But yeah, Marvel Studios is returning to Hall H, so there's gonna be some interesting stuff this year. There's a couple.
Is this the first time since 2019?
I think so, because there wasn't a Comic-Con in 2020, I'm pretty sure.
No, and I don't think they were. Were they in Hall H last year?
No, I think last year and the year before, all the Marvel news came out of the Investor Day and Disney Plus Day.
You're right. Yeah. And yeah, the last like big announcements were WandaVision and like the Multiverse of Madness and Blade in 2019.
Yeah, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige is going to walk back out on that stage. Is he going to have a blank timeline that he fills in, do you think?
I hope so. We haven't gotten like the Marvel Studios issued graphic in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last time they did it, it was like, here's phase 4 for like the next year. Or it was like the next year or two. And at the time, it was like everything that we've gotten so far. So yeah, give me that graphic. I want to see that timeline.
Yeah, I'm really curious, honestly. Like, I wonder what we leave out of this thing knowing that we didn't know about beforehand, because obviously there's just been so many leaks this past year or two about the MCU. There's like 40 projects that they got going on right now. They're in some stage of development. So, wonder what we get. But a few of the things we know we will see this weekend. Uh, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is going to be shown off in some capacity. There has been a couple stills that I've seen. One I saw just like right before we started recording. It was an image, like I think people connected it to Bast, like the panther
Mm,
god
right.
goddess from the lore of that. I almost said game because of the expansion. Do you think we're gonna get a trailer this weekend?
I think we have to. It comes out in November, which I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Comes out 11/11/22.
Oof.
So, yeah, man, this is a really interesting movie. Like, obviously, no one knows like the plot or anything. So, I am very, very interested to hear like what this movie is even about.
Yeah.
We've heard like I feel like we've heard like almost nothing, like in terms of like plot details and things like that. So, yeah, we're probably gonna get a big meaty trailer or a teaser trailer at the very least this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what we get because it is the next film outside of She-Hulk. I don't think there's any other project on the way before then. So like they have to start doing something for it and probably giving a bit more context of what to expect. But we do know, maybe in the more immediate future, maybe not. This was announced last year on Disney Plus Day, but Spider-Man Freshman Year, the MCU prequel animated series about Peter Parker, is going to be getting a first look. Do you think we get to
This
see this first look?
Ooh. I feel like we'll see maybe grainy footage of this. I feel like this is a smaller one though that they might just release.
Sure.
There's probably like the exclusive Hall H, like you have to be here this weekend, and we'll show everything else on like Monday or whatever. This might get out there. Do we know who's voicing the character? Because I feel like it's probably going to be the dude who did it from What If.
I imagined it was going to be him since this was announced, but a couple days ago I did see some report that Tom Holland is not going to be voicing Peter in this, which like duh from my perspective,
Yeah.
but like I think you're right. Like the guy who did Peter in What If did a great job doing Tom Holland's voice, so
Right. Definitely. Yeah, I have no issue with that. And this is pretty exciting. Like this is definitely more of like a fluff sort of project, but it's cool that this is obviously like taking place within the MCU, and it's like focusing on how we see where our Spider-Man came from. So this is cool.
yeah, I'm excited to explore whatever twists or unique elements of the origin they have in this adaptation, just so we get a bit more context, right? Like when this was announced, I was joking of like, oh, they made this show specifically for the people that never shut up about Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that. Presumably, we're gonna see the spider bite, I would imagine. But yeah, we're gonna have a better idea what to expect. Probably art style, animation style this weekend. You know who is returning for an animated series though to voice their MCU counterpart?
Who's that?
Bradley Cooper. Shockingly, he'll be voicing Rocket Raccoon in the I Am Groot animated series.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know what to expect for this show at all, but it's nice that like some of the returning talent is coming back.
Yeah, I imagine it's gonna be like 6-minute shorts,
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
and Rocket might be in half of them. I don't know.
Sure. Yep.
That's like whatever this is. Bradley Cooper is gonna be making a lot of money for probably one day in a booth. Is my guess.
Yep. You're probably right.
So. Outside of that, though, there's really not much teased going into Comic-Con. So before we move on, are there any other things you want to get out there pre-Comic-Con, a little time capsule?
Yes. I think they announce a X-Men or Mutants project and like give a name. But obviously no cast or anything. Because last time Kevin Feige was like, he like ended the show being like, "Oh, we don't have time to talk about the X-Men or the mutants." So I think now's the time. I think that's probably like what they leave off on.
That would be cool. I would hope they at least give an idea of what they're thinking for that project, right? Because I think for at least 5 years now, it's been, how is this going to work? Were they always there? Is it going to be things colliding? Are they going to shuffle things around? Is it going to be a civil rights thing now instead of the Holocaust for Magneto and Professor X? Like, what are they going to do for that relationship? Who's the leads? Like, there's so many questions around the X-Men that I would like some idea, even if it's just vague. Like, even if it is simply Kevin Feige saying, it's gonna be the X-Men like you've never seen them before, I think that would set the tone for what expectations should be, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I think we do get that. Because, like, we'll talk about it later, but, like, the mutants are in the MCU now.
Yeah.
So, like, we're not far off from a project, I don't think. I feel like within the next 5 years, we will see an X-Men or Mutants project.
I think you're right. I think that's a fair timeline. So,
Given how quickly they pump these things out.
yeah. My guess is similar to one of the old Comic-Cons. They will have a casting reveal of 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
It will be Ben Grimm, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Reed Richards, and Victor Von Doom out on stage, waving to the crowd.
That's a great call.
Thank you, thank you. Because, like,
do we know when this movie is coming out?
no, but they said it's the end of Phase 4, and we know there's some Phase 4 movies next year, and I would imagine they want to move on from Phase 4, right?
I want to move on from Phase 4.
But, like, I'm doing it. I'm pulling up the calendar again. 2023 MCU movies. Ant-Man, what else?
The Marvels.
Okay.
I can't think of anything. Is
think
Ironheart a movie?
that is a
Disney
series.
Plus. Okay. Oops.
We have a lot of series next year. I think we only have dates on 2 films.
Right.
I'm trying my hardest to find an accurate, up-to-date release schedule.
It's hard.
Next year.
It's hard. They first of all, obviously, all the schedule got shifted with COVID, so that impacted it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they haven't released one of those graphics with a timeline.
Yes. Okay. So, 2023, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We have The Marvels, and that's it. But that is only 3 projects we know we probably need to do 4, right?
Can I tell you what though?
What?
You gotta have the Fantastic Four in 2024.
That is a good point. April 2nd, 2024.
4/4/24.
4242. No, 4224. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta have. They're gonna play with a 4. I'm telling you what.
That is a good point, but perhaps maybe it's released in Q4 of 2023. I don't know, man. Because I think we could also see something interesting where, because of the relation of Kang to Reed Richards, maybe at the beginning of the year with Quantumania in February, you tee up Kang as this Loki-style villain who pops up again at the end of the year in Fantastic Four, and maybe we get, like, Scott in there helping the team out, you know, like, as a fun little crossover. Not quite Avengers, but I don't know. Pym, I feel like, would work with the Baxter Building stuff, that crew. Sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call though. I feel like we're at the point now where we got to see who's playing these characters.
Yeah. Even if it's not coming out next year, I do think we'll probably get some announcement, right? Because also recently John Watts stepped down as director. That was just in April. Mm-hmm. So maybe 6 people. Maybe the director and then the 5 cast members.
Yeah, that's usually how they do it. They usually have the director
Mhm.
announce the cast members, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So,
You know what? This is my last thing I'll say about Fantastic Four. I wouldn't be surprised if Peyton Reed does it because
yeah.
I think a while ago, like pre Quantumania being announced, I remember Peyton Reed being like, "Oh, if I could do anything, I would want to do Fantastic Four."
Okay.
And I doubt we get a fourth Ant-Man film.
Maybe.
So he's free, probably. I don't know.
It's either him or John Krasinski. Those are the only two options.
True, that's a good point. I would take Brad Bird also, honestly.
Oh, because of The Incredibles?
Yeah, because of The Incredibles.
Okay. Is that really the reason?
Yeah, that is the reason. That's truly it.
Okay. Sweet. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the best Fantastic Four movie,
I'd also
right?
take Matthew Vaughn. He did First Class. I don't know what he's done lately.
Okay. Yeah,
But
sure. That's cool.
something, man. We got to know something about that movie after this weekend.
I think we do. I actually think it's going to be a really hype. Like this is their return to Hall H.
Yeah, dude.
This is going to be big, I feel.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Feige wants Fantastic Four to be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way they will present it, because like it should be mainly because of Doctor Doom. Like I think he needs to be a huge deal, but I think they're gonna really hype up Fantastic Four, like really really hype it up. So
Good. Yeah, I hope they do.
me too. Some casual hype for you.
Mm-hmm.
Both Deadpool films and Logan are going to be on Disney Plus within the day, within the 24 hours. I mean,
That's good. And by the time you hear this, it's probably on.
yeah, you can do it. You can watch it right now if you're feeling so inclined.
Is this the turning point? Like, are we good now on Disney Plus with R-rated content?
We better be,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
Um,
and they're making Deadpool 3, and it's R-rated, so we should be good. I feel like we're good.
Yeah, when we see Blade this weekend, he's gonna have to say rated R. He's gonna have to say it.
That would be fantastic.
And maybe I did list this close to the Comic-Con stuff because maybe this is just prepping everybody for like DC Black Label for their comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Marvel in the mid 2000s had a thing called like Marvel Max that was like rated R adult content comic books.
Right. Okay.
I think the MCU is kind of probably approaching that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with characters like Deadpool, and if they do a Wolverine movie, I feel like you can't go back now.
Yeah.
Like, Logan just completely blew that door open. You gotta keep doing rated R for that. I think you're probably right. But, like, that'll be a very select few characters who get that treatment.
Sure.
And, like, you have to deserve that, I feel.
Yeah, like I do think Blade will fall under that category.
Sure. Or, like, a Punisher, maybe.
Yeah, or a Daredevil, even, right?
Mhm.
Like we
Yep.
know Daredevil's coming back, so
That was TVMA, I think.
Mhm.
So,
It was.
yeah. Yeah, so that would be R-rated.
yeah. So between this and upcoming characters that could sprinkle in rated R stuff, I think maybe we might hear some stuff sooner than later.
Cool.
A couple quick shout outs. I saw this. Gotta give respect where it's due. Tom Hardy's gonna be earning $20 million for Venom 3, which is $13 million more than he made on the first film.
Good for that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said he deserves it.
He does. He does. He
Okay,
puts his heart and soul into those films.
Sure. Okay, he deserves it.
He's got story credits on, I think, all three of those things. He loves this.
Yeah. I mean, he certainly is still doing it. He's certainly still doing it. And yeah, now he's taking like writing. I like when actors. I'll say this. I like when actors begin as an actor and then they are so in touch with the character that they become like producers or like executive producers. Like I believe was Ewan McGregor a producer or executive producer on Kenobi?
I think he was. Another example I know recently, Scarlett Johansson was a producer on
Mm,
Black Widow.
yeah, that's a good call. Yeah,
So,
so yeah, when actors are just like really like in touch with that character, they like can affect the story in that way. So good for Tom Hardy.
hell yeah. What's surprising about this story is that he did Venom 1 for 7 million. That feels like chump
That
change for Tom Hardy.
yeah, it does feel small.
Nuts.
That's interesting. Did you read the story where was it? Yeah, it must have been Sony. Where Sony was like something along the lines of, you probably know this better than I do, where they were like, Top Gun Maverick has been doing so well,
Yes.
and we have to thank movies like Venom for really kickstarting this for us. And it's like, whoa, you it's like that meme of like the Domino's guy where like one thing it's like he pushes Venom at the bottom, and the one at the very end is like Top Gun Maverick is like one of the best performing movies of all time.
That's so good. Yeah, I'm scrolling. Let's see what goes. Because I think I tweeted about it. Well, on July 10th, we had new data revealing Marvel and DC's most popular pandemic-era movies in demand by engagement. Number 1 was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Number 2 was Venom: Let There Be Carnage.
Wow.
But yes, the thing you're specifically talking about was one of the CEOs, I think, of Sony Pictures or something, being like, yeah, great to see the movies are back at it better than ever with Top Gun Maverick, and it's all thanks to Venom: Let There Be Carnage and our bold decision to do theaters only for that release.
Okay, that was the context. Yeah. All right. I get what he's saying.
I don't think he's
I,
wrong.
I suppose he kicks that movie. I guess kickstarted it, right?
That was February of this year. There was no larger film releasing before that in 2022.
Wait, was it 2022 this year? I thought it was
Yeah.
like before. No, it was definitely before
Was it?
No Way Home. Right.
Oh, you're right. You're
yeah,
right.
because it teased him going into No. I think it was like the fall.
Yeah, that was October, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
October 1st.
So I get what he's saying from the Sony perspective, because like Black Widow was kind of the movie that brought the movies back in a way, or like that was the biggest movie when theaters were like, all right, we can kind of reopen, and then Shang-Chi obviously, but then that movie did really well for Sony, so I get why he said that. It's just absurd that he said that. Like, you can't just say that. I
But
guess
the
you
thing
can
is-
as like the CEO or whatever of Sony, but like, it's funny to read.
Nobody can prove him otherwise.
I guess you're right.
Venom W streak continues. I cannot wait for Venom 3.
Sure. I'm just morbidly curious. No mention of Morbius.
Yeah, good.
Suppose that makes sense. Did very bad.
Yeah.
Did it do bad, or did it just do whatever?
I think it did make a profit. I don't know if
Yeah.
that re-release soured things, but
That was funny.
I think if there's a will, there's a chance we could still get a Morbius 2. Tubius.
Oh God. Did you see that movie?
No, I almost did. Last weekend, my friends wanted to watch it. I was like, yeah, fucking right.
No.
So-
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever watch that movie. I know everything I need to know.
I'll never willingly watch it.
No. Yes.
So, 2 more actual quick hits. She-Hulk episode 1 is going to be debuting August 17th. And Madam Web has been delayed to October 6th, 2023. I believe it was going to be coming out sometime next summer, but the cast has also grown to now not only include Sydney Sweeney, Dakota Johnson, and Emma Roberts, but also Adam Scott.
Love Adam Scott.
Yeah, he's great. Best part of Parks and Rec.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So yeah, there's that movie. I don't know about this one.
I hope Tom Hardy's in this one too, man. I hope Venom pops up.
Oh yeah, he probably will.
If this is their Multiverse of Madness, I don't know. If this is their Sony equivalent of a big inciting incident for things, I think he better show up in there. He's the king of the Sonyverse right now, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. It seems like it will, because Madam Web is kind of all about the Spider-Verse, at least. So
Yeah.
I would have to imagine.
Here's hoping.
What if Adam Scott's like an older Spider-Man?
Dude, that'd be very cool.
I don't think he will be, but that'd be funny.
I bet he's gonna play some scientist or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Some like corpo guy.
Oh my God, Sony loves like corporate entities in their movies.
Remember when BJ Novak was in Spider-Man or
Oh,
Amazing Spider-Man
yes.
2?
Yep. I hate that vibe. What a horrible vibe.
Yeah.
Just like big evil company. And it's in every Sony movie.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Oscorp is a thing. Oscorp is a staple to Spider-Man
No,
stories.
yeah.
So
It
I get you
is.
though. I get you.
I get it. I just don't like existing, and it's just it's not. It's usually not done well too. Like it's
Yeah.
not like Adam Scott was recently in Severance. That's a good show about like bad corporations, but it's usually just very surface level observations, like big corporation bad. It's like yeah, thanks, we get it.
Yeah. Well, ending off on a good note, Ms. Marvel has wrapped up its 6-episode run with the finale. We have yet to speak about it. By now, I'm assuming everybody has probably seen the whole thing because it's been, 2 weeks since the finale debuted?
Yeah,
So, we're going to just go right in. Spoilers on the table. Jack, what do you think of the episode? What do you end up thinking of Ms. Marvel overall?
sure. For the episode itself, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I think we've been hit with a lot of bad finales for the most part for Disney Plus shows, but I would definitely say this like has some of those tropes. Like I wouldn't say it goes fully into like good person with powers fighting opposite bad person with same powers. There's like a little bit of that, but like they do steer away from it pretty quickly, which is good. But I liked the sort of Home Alone vibe of it. I thought it was fun throughout and emotional throughout the end of it as well. Pretty surprised with the episode. I actually it's probably one of my favorites of the show. But for the show overall, loved it. I think there were some points where I thought this probably could have used maybe an episode or two more, maybe even more than that, because some things did feel rushed throughout the show. I thought the villains were kind of bad and like I forget about them constantly. So that was not great, but overall, I think the show was pretty fantastic and is one of the better MCU shows. So loved it. What about you?
Yeah, I loved the finale mainly because it was very surprising. And we were both very high on the show pre-finale, and we're expecting that maybe things would falter a bit with the finale just because of the trappings we've seen with like every other MCU show on Disney Plus. But like you, I was very surprised with the directions they went and the decisions they made for the scope and scale of this conflict and bringing it all back to a really strong core foundation that they built in the early episodes. So for that reason, I feel pretty confident in saying I think it's the best Disney Plus Marvel show. I love WandaVision. I think WandaVision still has mad respect from me for just being really weird with its structure. But there are several episodes of that show that, were I to rewatch it, I would want to skip them and probably would. Ms. Marvel is no skips for me, I think. On a rewatch, I'll watch every episode of the show.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Ms. Marvel is right below WandaVision for me. Still love that show dearly. But I think this might be a better... I don't know if it's a better TV show, but I think it's maybe better constructed across, like, it feels a little more fluid. My main complaint is some things feel a little rushed, and I feel like this could have been a little longer.
Sure. Yeah, I think my main criticism of this show is the thing that's the most MCU-ish about it with, what were they called? The clandestines, right?
Yeah.
They were fine. I thought when they were introduced, I was like, okay, there's an interesting sort of element to them where they don't necessarily seem to have ill intent, but like it's no holds barred, we're going home. If you get in our way, we will crush you, which is pretty straightforward. And I was hoping they wouldn't like make a big deal out of that inevitable turn, and they didn't. To be fair, like I think within 2 episodes, they were sort of like, okay, we're fully fleshed out as much as we're gonna get fleshed out in this show. Now we're bad. Now we're dealt with. So
It was
I
very quick.
Yeah, I do think though if there was a seventh or eighth episode, that maybe I would have felt worse about them overstaying their welcome to the point where I'd probably have preferred if that plot line was just like super super slimmed down and kind of non-existent. But that is my main critique of the show. I thought that was the weakest point, but even that wasn't really a huge mark against it for me.
Yeah. I wonder if the show could have gotten away with not having them present
Probably.
and just do damage control and like somehow sort in Kamran's powers and like just deal with that. I feel like that. I feel like I probably would have enjoyed the show a little bit more because it was a little distracting. I mean, most Marvel shows and movies have bad villains, so it's not like that egregious. But I think that it would have made for maybe a more focused show just to have damage control as the antagonist forced.
Yeah, I definitely felt stronger about the use of damage control as an antagonist in this. And I would love, honestly, my favorite thing about the finale is just how small scale it feels. It's very like hometown vibes, even more so than stuff like Spider-Man: Homecoming, I thought, which I love. And because the villains were basically cops, I think it allows for that sort of ground level feeling storytelling that I think we have gotten very far away from in the MCU. So I would love if that was the case more moving forward, even if damage control as a whole, like, it was definitely that lady was going off book, and that was, like, they made it very clear, like, oh, she's just a bad one, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's kind of what they were doing. But if damage control continues to be sort of this policing force that is just in the wrong, not forever, but like for a while, if that's what we're dealing with these street level heroes, I'd be super into that.
sure. Yeah, I do agree with you with the small level approach and like Kamala at the end of this is doing the famous like light post pose like in Jersey City and not in New York City. Like even New York City would be small scale on like what you said where we're at in the state of the MCU, but it is cool to see that she is like that neighborhood's hero, similar to how like Spider-Man is like Queens or like Daredevil is like Hell's Kitchen, things like that. So that was cool. I did really appreciate that about the show.
Yeah. So I think from that angle, just feeling so fresh, and honestly, we brought this up in the early episodes, but just sort of having that sort of community character element to it, it made me feel things that things outside of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies honestly really haven't, in terms of the place feeling characterized well. So bringing it back to the school for the final encounter, again, being opposed by essentially cops and her defending instead of fighting as the big like crescendo of her arc, I really thought was great. So very refreshing, like you said.
Yeah. Gotta love the Embiggen
Yeah.
drop as well. People were saying like, oh, it doesn't really make sense. Like, where does that come from? Like, was she saying that previously? Like, was that something I don't know. That didn't really bother me. I didn't expect her to say that. So when she did, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe she actually said
Yeah, you know what I have to say to those people? Look at what you're watching, you dorks.
that. Yeah, it was awesome. It was such a surprise. I didn't really think they'd go for it.
Yeah, that was very fun. And they definitely tease, I think, a little more of the polymorph style appearance of the powers, right? Because she does grow, and it kind of looks like her hands fill out the constructs in some of
Yeah.
those encounters, right? So I think they're definitely building to that. Maybe the constructs are still going to be present, but I think for those that were worried, like the big fists were present. You know, they were there.
Yeah, totally.
Still on finale talk. How did you feel about the final moment with her father and sort of the origin of her super name?
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was one of like the more touching scenes in the entire show. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. I feel like every character, I mentioned this for like Foggy and Karen and Daredevil, but I feel like all the characters in the show are like comfort characters where it's like, I kind of want to just hang out with these people, see what they're up to. And the dad, Abu, I believe, is definitely one of those characters. And it was really nice to hear. I liked that a lot.
Yeah, it was very charming. It did remind me of sort of the end of the campaign for the
Mm.
reassemble stuff in Avengers, where that final note is also Kamala and her father, uh, just sort of having a moment of like, yeah, well, it's risky, but I'll support you, right? And I did like that element as well, that her family just sort of embraced it and were very supportive of her in the final episodes. But
Hmm.
yeah, and just the tying in like she was their Marvel and the Ms. Marvel and like her freaking out about the connection to Carol, I thought was very fun and
Right.
felt very authentic for like a fangirl moment, right?
Yeah. No, it was a really, really nice moment. And seeing her run away in the glasses was really cool. And him saying magic. That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I will say, she's got to figure out another way to get around the city. She's just running. Like, can't you just go up really high and, like, make a slide? That was my immediate thought. Like, just
That'd be
slide
cool.
around. Yeah.
That'd be very cool. Or, you know, there's several lampposts. You could just
Yep.
aim for those lampposts, grab it with your hand, and swing.
Yep. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, press X. Um, and then the final moment, Brie Larson cameo. It happened.
Yeah. This was not the way I expected it. I would have expected it in, like, a silly way of, like, her coming down and be like, good job, kid.
Yeah,
But it looks like they, like, switched places, a lot of people were saying.
yeah,
Like, as though, like, Kamala was teleported wherever Ms. Marvel was, or where Carol was, and Carol went to Jersey City.
yeah. I think that's a possibility. I saw some people saying that maybe Kamala's powers are more manifesting to be what they are in the comics, where she can transform, like
Mm.
Mystique style, and maybe that just triggered it because like she's obsessed with Carol, so like that's could have just been the default thing that her power manifested as an option. What I think would be very fun and what would be a great, very very silly but for me enjoyable plot of the Marvels is a Freaky Friday scenario.
Ooh, a Scooby-Doo scenario?
Yes, that did happen in Scooby Doo. I forgot about that.
James Gunn Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, that could be fun, right?
It could be fun for a few scenes. I don't know about a
Sure.
whole movie, though.
Sure.
But it could be fun.
So, yeah, like you said, unexpected use of Brie Larson, but glad she popped up
Yeah.
for a second, you know?
Yeah, it seemed inevitable, but it was good.
Yeah. So, the big question mark that remains undiscussed from us for this finale, unless I'm forgetting something else, is the last scene with Bruno. He rolls up, literally in a car, and talks to Kamala. He's about to go off to Caltech or wherever he got into college, and he's telling her he looked at her genes again, and there was something of a mutation compared to the rest of her family. And then we hear a very exciting music cue of the X-Men theme.
Yeah,
That
the
caught me off
animated
guard.
X-Men. Yeah, the animated X-Men theme as well.
That's twice now. They used that in
Yes.
Multiverse also.
They did. I feel like this was obviously they're not doing the Inhuman angle. I don't think anyone expected them to do that. It seems kind of obvious in a way, but it wasn't at that same point. Like, I don't think anyone expected this to happen for the character. Like, they weren't going to do the Inhuman route, so I feel like we all just expected, oh, she's just a hero, whatever. She just got her superpowers somehow.
Yeah.
That's like the logical next step would be like, oh, if we're not going to do Inhuman, like, let's just make her a mutant. But like in retrospect, that seems so like that makes so much sense. But no one expected that, and that's so cool.
So I have seen an interesting sort of framing for leaving the door open to still make her an Inhuman. And I'm much more on your side, but the reasoning that I saw people saying was, one, Kamala, for a lot of her arc in this, is like overcoming the feeling of being othered by society for every single reason, and she even says as much of like it would just be it's just another label,
Right.
whatever I am. So her friend being like, "There's something inhuman about you," would just be kind of weird and like out of pocket almost, right? Like it's just a little strange. Like if you
Yeah,
see
but
a mutation in her DNA, like, oh, it's a mutation. It's not like, oh, this is inhuman like that.
sure.
So like dialogue wise, it's weird, but I am with you. I think it's also overlooked. And listen, I haven't read Inhuman comics. I don't plan on it. I know there's probably people who really love the Inhumans. However, you cannot deny the Inhumans. The only reason we know about the Inhumans is because they tried to make them a big deal in the comics when the X-Men were not owned by Disney. So,
Yeah,
like,
that's the reason they exist, essentially, right? Like
maybe, yeah.
like Marvel didn't want to promote the X-Men really too much anymore because like Fox owned the movie rights. So they're
Yeah.
like, well, I guess we'll do the Inhumans. Which I mean, they're essentially the same thing.
Yes. So, to be fair, the Inhumans were created, I think, in the 60s of Marvel Comics, but like they were never elevated to be like anything other than E tier
Yeah.
characters until
Like recently.
yes. So
The beloved television program.
yeah, like did Brian Michael Bendis create Kamala?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because Kamala was created as Ms. Marvel, I think in like 2011 or 2012. If they were able to make a new original character that was going to be this big cultural impact and make her a mutant, I guarantee you, if that was on the table, they would have done that. So,
Yeah. She was created by Sana Amanat,
okay.
G. Willow Wilson, as well as a few other people as well. Adrian Alflona,
Was
Jamie
Bendis not on that
McKelvey.
comic?
I don't know if he wrote it, but that's who created.
Okay. I might be thinking of
That.
something else then.
Yeah.
Regardless, she's a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Either for now or forever. I choose to think forever, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they went as far to put the X-Men theme behind that, you know?
yeah. So do you think that, because I've seen some people have this worry, you don't think that it's like, oh, she's going to be a member of the X-Men, right? Like, I don't think they're going that direction. It's just like, oh, the concept of mutant is introduced through her.
I feel like I feel like mutant is. I feel like they just use that theme to be like, yes, mutant, X-Men, whatever. It's the same thing in this instant. In this instance, like this is the first like real mutant that we've seen in the MCU, like confirmed. That's in like the 616 universe. I don't think she'll be like an X-Men. She'll probably work with them, but I don't think she'll be like on that team. I don't think she'll go to like northern New York to go to the Xavier school.
The MCU Spider-Manification of Kamala Khan.
How so?
Spider-Man, solo hero, not in the MCU. He's an Avenger.
Right. Yeah.
Kamala Khan, definitely not an X-Men. She's an X-Men in the MCU.
I don't think they'll do that.
I don't either. I've seen that as a worry, but I truly think that this is just like a, hey, this is the introduction. Get ready, you know.
Yes. No, I agree. I honestly, and especially like with the proximity of the finale and Hall H, I really do think we're gonna get the X-Men or like mutants confirmation this weekend.
Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, that was huge. This was a complete surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I did not expect this coming. It was awesome.
Yeah, I did not either. This completely caught me off guard. And when he said mutation, I was like, oh. And then when the music played, I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
This is one of the few times I texted you. I was like, you have to watch this like immediately.
Yeah, I cleared my morning. So
Because that would have been I'm sure immediately people were tweeting about that.
And you're so right about it being unexpected, because when you said that, I figured like, oh, Brie Larson's in the episode.
Right. Yeah, and that was the best part. I was like, I bet he's gonna figure like it's a Captain Marvel thing.
So, overall, great show. I think we talked about this last time. I think we should just start ranking post Infinity Saga amongst themselves.
Okay.
So, do you have an idea of a ranking yet?
I mean, I have it ranked in the MCU. I also changed my top one.
Oh,
It's now Endgame.
nice.
I gotta give it to it. And like I love Civil War, but I feel like I love Endgame a little bit more. Right now, in like the greater overall MCU ranking, Ms. Marvel's at number 12, below
Okay.
below Shang-Chi and above Loki. In a Disney Plus ranking, it's number 2 below WandaVision and above Loki.
Nice.
I don't know. It's pretty high in Phase 4. I think above it for me is No Way Home, WandaVision. It's actually, I guess it's kind of middle of the pack. Multiverse of Madness, Shang-Chi, and then Ms. Marvel. But I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, like I said, for me, it's definitely my number one show. I haven't ranked it in my overall ranking yet. Like, I will say WandaVision is at number 9. And if the logic carries over, I would imagine that I would just end up putting Ms. Marvel there. Because, yeah, I really thought it was great. Rejuvenated my Marvel fandom. So, that would be the highest ranked show in my ranking overall. The only other Phase 4 projects that would be above it in that ranking would be No Way Home, Multiverse, and Shang-Chi. So
Yeah. What a roller coaster Phase 4 is. Like, every time we get something good, we get something bad after. In my opinion, at least. And that could change for someone, but I really think it's very mixed. Like, loved Ms. Marvel, then I went to see Thor, and I was like, oh, God. And I felt the same way with Moon Knight. I was like, I didn't hate Moon Knight, but I was like, this isn't great. I feel like it could have been a lot better. And then we saw Multiverse of Madness, and I was like, this is fantastic.
nice. So odds are looking good for She-Hulk and bad for Black Panther 2.
See, I had no expectations for Ms. Marvel and was so down off of Moon Knight that I was like, I don't know about this. And then I came out and loved it. So who knows? I have zero expectations for She-Hulk. So maybe that's something.
Yeah, we'll see. I am ready for the break we'll be getting from Marvel stuff come the finale of She-Hulk, which was probably going to be sometime mid-September, right? So, yeah, after that, we just got a month and a half or so gap until Wakanda Forever, and then I think we're done with Marvel for the year, right?
I think you're right. Well, I feel like we'll get like a what if sprinkled in, right? Isn't that supposed to come out this year?
I don't know. I really don't.
Nothing significant though.
No, maybe freshman year, right? That could be
That'd be
this
great.
year thing.
That'd be a nice like December drop.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. But until then, Jack, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Fascinated Jack. What about you, Christian?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Chun2D2. You can find the show on Twitter at ExcelsiorJC. You can also get this show in video form on youtube.com/joyclicks every weekend. Episode goes live. You can also find it on podcast services of your choosing, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Rating and reviewing is an easy way to help the show out if you enjoy it, helps us reach more people, and is completely free. But if you want to support us on a monetary level, you can do so by going to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 will give you producer credit on every show we produce for the month, like Aaron Easton and Jose Garcia. So thank you very much. And that is Excelsior. We will be back for what will probably be a hopefully meaty Comic-Con recap next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I really am. I'm really hopeful for this. I feel really great about Marvel right now. That could change in an instant, though. I could very easily go back to being cynical.
Sure.
So, we'll see what happens. But until then, Excelsior.
Except.